Love Kasumi. Hello, I'm Karin.
And I'm Honey Panda Bunny.
And today we'll be doing Nijigasaki episode 2.
I thought the episode was pretty good. I was okay with it. It wasn't as good as I think the first, but I like this one.
We watched these episodes twice, once on our own and then once together. And originally, I came off this episode a little lukewarm, although I did think this was a good episode for Kasumi. However, rewatching it again, there's just some stuff that I missed that I think made me appreciate it a little bit more. So since this is primarily Kasumi's episode, Kasumi's design has translated, of all of them, the most to the anime. She is such an expressive character, and in this episode we've got so many great facial reactions off her. I really love her eyes in this. It's not something I really notice in the game, but her reddish purple eyes are absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, her faces in this episode were top tier. Ayumu gets a couple of good ones as well. And Kasumi, I think, was treated very well by the writing staff, because I was originally worried that she was going to be treated as just a comic relief character, and there's a lot more to Kasumi's character than that, through her songs like Diamond and Muteki Q Believer, and even in the games explore like her loneliness, and there's more to a character than just, oh, she's a little trickster idol character. And the comedy in this episode, don't get me wrong, I love Kasumi's comedy. I love it, like when she tries to prank and it backfires on her. It was actually really good in this episode.
There's lots of little bits with the comedy, so I enjoy her reactions with you when you calls her cute. The way that she reacts is exactly how I thought it would be, and it's exactly how I wanted it to be. And then later on, when there's like the bit and they're trying to find the school idol room, I absolutely loved the bit with the building site and you can't quite like speak, and it's funny.
Yeah, like the background detail of her mouthing the words, but you can't hear it. And I actually thought that Kasumi and Yu's relationship, and even her relationship with Ayumu, the three of them actually, it's not the same, but it does give me that trio energy. Konaka, Umi, Kotori, and then Chika, Riko, and Yo. And it is different, but it does give me reminiscent of that. And yeah, the comedy is really fun. I really love the initial bit at the start with Kasumi trying to get the idol plaque back for the club room. And you have where she chucks a cat at Setsuna, and she's wearing the glasses, calling back to earlier characters such as Nico and Yohane in that kind of style. But as I like that it contrasted with the start, you have the sort of the dramatic cut at the beginning where she's on the balcony of Nijigasaki and she's talking about how she'd like to create like this wonderland of like cutesiness and happiness.
Yeah, she wants idols to be as cute as possible.
And then it cuts to like the flashback with the previous club, and we see that Setsuna's being hard on them. She feels they're not giving it their 100%, and Kasumi is, well, this isn't how I want to do this isn't cute. The strength of Kasumi's character is her dynamics with all the other characters, because we have her interacting with Nana, and obviously they have their own little like sort of cat and mouse. It's very funny. Yeah. And then but her relationship with like Shizuku is very clearly defined. They've obviously had previous history. We knew this in the game.
And they're friends.
Yeah, they've got like a close relationship.
Give me Shizuku head pats.
Yeah, we will most likely get that. And then obviously her relationship with Yu and even Ayumu is that, I think, is the strength of Kasumi's character. She just adds so much dynamics. Everyone that she meets, and I actually can't wait for her to interact with. Like you see in the preview for the next episode, Kanata is patting her on the head and is seemingly smothering her, and I just can't wait to see Kasumi interact with the other members of the cast.
Kasumi lives so unapologetically that she doesn't, I'm not going to be horrible and say she doesn't think about other people's reactions or feelings, but she's very much like Nico-esque, where she lives her life to make her happy, I think.
And Yu's face in response to her cuteness, when they're in the park and she's doing the recordings.
Yeah.
That is my reaction every time Kasumi does anything.
I mean, I thought it was going to play off Nico-like. With Kasumi, I loved seeing Yu's actual reaction, finally someone giving them like the attention they deserve.
I definitely like that Kasumi is not just a one-note character. We got introduced to the OP in this episode, which is called Niji-Iro Passions. And for me, the opening is fine. I did like the sound of it. Any Nijigasaki group song I will appreciate. I do think that the visuals are a little lacking in it. There's a lot of still images, and there's a lot of them singing at the school. Compared to previous lovelive OPs, this feels a little reined in, it feels a little lacking. The music is good. It's not my favourite Nijigasaki group song. I still think I prefer Mirai Harmony and Just Believe above it, but I'd have it sitting in like that middle category.
I really like it. It's really pretty, and I think it actually gives off a bit more of a slice of life feel to it, which I think so far in the series it does have those slice of life and idol elements. Obviously represents so far the 2 episodes we've seen in the series really well.
One thing I do appreciate about the opening is that you get the shots of all the different characters and sort of their personalities. This opening is very highlighting that these are all their personal aspects of their characters. A little bit different compared to the previous Love Lives where they're a group, and this one feels like it's focusing that, oh yes, they will perform as a group, but also they are primarily solo singers.
I really liked the beginning when it's the photos and it feels like Japan, how they have those photo booth things.
Yes.
It felt like that. It felt so cutesy and I loved it.
Now, while I did appreciate Kasumi in this episode, she was treated very well. I had a slight issue with, I'm gonna in quotations call this a conflict, which was there's the realization that as Kasumi is trying to reform the school idol club and she's bringing in Yu and Ayumu, and then they play around in the park trying to be cutesy, and Kasumi is trying to make Ayumu act more cutesy. She's trying to get the Ayupun. I actually really like the scene when she's like saying something similar and then you have Yu in the background, she's like, oh god, she's gonna do cute stuff. I thought that was really funny. There's so many fun background comedy in this series that I love so much. The issue I had with it was that this, in the second half, is sort of Kasumi, I want to create a place of happiness, loads of cuteness. However, I don't want to force my ideals on other, and she partly feels this when Ayumu is like,
kind of
oh, cute is too hard, and that's another thing that I really appreciate about the episode, because I think they've done such a good job with Ayumu, is I like that they're continuing her development from the first episode, which is that she wants to be cutesy, but I like how it's not an instantaneous, she can just turn it on, she's still struggling. It goes more into a later scene with a character that we'll talk about shortly. My issue with the motivation or the conflict is that it just felt a little lacking in this episode. There's the initial bit where Kasumi is sort of like a parallel where Setsuna was trying to force her ideals on her and now she's trying to force her ideals on Ayumu, and then that carries on until the end of the episode where she has the scene with Yu at the end, and I do actually really like their dynamics. I really love their relationship. I think it's really good, but it just felt a little bit lacking and it just came off as a little half-baked to me.
Yeah, well, for me, when we were discussing about it, I said if you consider the Setsuna one, Kasumi never went into the idol club going, oh, I want to be a passionate idol. They never discussed this. From what we've seen so far, this could change, obviously. But with Ayumu, she latches onto the idea of, oh, I want to be cute. That's what she says, like, oh, I guess I want to be cute. And Kasumi is obviously rolling with that and assuming that Ayumu also wants to be cute. But by the end of it, she realises that her version of cute is not always going to be the same as, like, Ayumu's. So that's why the conflict is a bit different. And I think that might be why it feels a little bit half-baked for you.
We did get little cuts into how the other characters are doing, which I quite like, how the story is slowly progressing and we're getting a bit more of the other characters, and you're kind of starting to see the forming of the idol group with Yu, Ayumu and Kasumi, but then we've got the other groups. We've still got in the background Shizuku with her club president who's, oh, it's drama time, and Shizuka goes away and Kasumi's like, I really like the scene as well with Kasumi, like, she's biting into the bread and she's got like the shark teeth. It's very cute. But then we also have the scene with Rina and I with the cat, and the cat is also appeared at the start where Kasumi chucks her at Setsuna, and the cat is called Hunpen. And it's actually a reference to Rina's Bond stories. She looks after it on the campus. It's a little cute reference. I actually never thought about it for when I did my previous video. And then there's also Karin. Do you want to talk about Karin?
Yeah, I love that she's got such mum energy in this.
She gives off a very Nozomi vibe, especially with the Ayumu scene.
I love that she, in the first episode, we're seeing even the character development now. In the first episode, she's like, is there anything I can do to help you, Emma? And now in this one, she's gone to action and she's doing things on her own, and it feels really nice that they're all living within their own worlds and it's not all having to intercollect so far, and it feels so real and realistic. And I love that Karin seems to have such a deep bond with Emma to go all the way out there, to go to the student council president, to quote unquote maybe steal the student directory.
Yeah, it's a really nice bit of film direction where during Kasumi's distraction, where she's trying to get the idol plaque again, you see that Karin is looking at the student directory with all the student names on it, and then you don't see her pocket it, but you see her look at it. And then, when Setsuna leaves the room, she turns back to it, and then it cuts to her leaving the room. You never see it, but then at the end of the episode, you see her return it, and I really like that. It's like something that you could very easily miss. And it's just to show, it shows that Karin is quite intelligent, which is also shown in the Ayumu scene, where we see a scene where Ayumu is trying to practice be cutesy. She's trying to work up, she's trying to build up her confidence.
Karin's like, you should be honest. You should be an honest idol. Show your feelings.
It gave me very like Nozomi Maki vibes in like one of the earlier episodes, where Maki's spying on the other two, and Nozomi comes up and gives us some words of encouragement.
It feels really real and really cute, and it's making me appreciate Karin Karin so much more.
This is so far Ayumu and Karin. They've done such a good job with those characters. One thing that I will say though is that I hope they don't remove the more goofier aspects of Karin. You know how she can be silly at times. She can be a bit ditzy headed.
Also, when she genuinely gets upset, like in the story in the original one, when Ellie beats her, she feels so downtrodden about it. I don't want them to miss
we are
out.
going to get that scene where to everyone else she seems this cool ultra big sister, but then we're going to get the cut shot to, you know, something silly is going to happen and Karen's going to and then we're going to see that there's a lot more to her.
I do find it funny that Karen's the one that's got the brain cells in this anime.
So far.
She's so far, yeah.
So we'll talk about Kasumi's song at the end. So she comes to the realization that she doesn't want to force her ideals on. She sees Ayumu, who, helped by Karen's words at the end, approaches her. And she does her own recording again. And she does it in her own way rather than how she thought it. And you see Kasumi's reaction of, oh, it's not exactly what I wanted, but this is a school idol. And then you get the cute scene with like Yu going to encourage her.
And hugging and stuff.
And then Kasumi makes a decision and we get her song, which is called Poppin' Up. And for me, this song wasn't as good as Dream With You. I thought the visuals were a little... I think the problem I have with it is there's a lot of Wonderland imagery, which for me is perhaps my least favourite Kasumi song. I much prefer Margaret,
Diamond,
and Muteki Q Believer. And the visuals were a little lacking. It was mostly... Kasumi likes cute things, they just put loads of sweets in it. I do like the references, like there's a couple of references to Muteki Q Believer.
And the outfits from the game again.
Yeah, but I like the sound. I think Kasumi does a good performance. It's better than Wonderland for me, but the visuals were just a little bit lacking. And I'm not a massive fan of her dress as well. I didn't really appreciate the dress.
I like the kind of like 60s dress. With this song, I like it, it's okay, but I also prefer Ayumu's, you did as well. With Ayumu's, in the first episode, there was a lot of themes right from the get-go that they could take from.
This song is lacking.
Yeah, whereas with this one, it was gonna be hard for them to do this because we're going through Kasumi's character development, and we're going through Ayumu's character development, and it's the battle of, do we have Kasumi have this imagery, or do we have her
in
have
the songs,
development?
There's two aspects to Kasumi's character. There's wanting to build a happiness, a kingdom of cutesiness. But then there's more that the girl in the mirror of Muteki Q Believer, which is this. At times in the songs, it comes off as Kasumi doesn't actually think she's cute, and that she sings the songs, she needs people to help encourage her. I find that more interesting than the Wonderland stuff. Now, I do have some positives for the song. There is some nice bits of animation in there, particularly with, the stars. Those are really cute, and there's a really nice bit of animation on the flag, which is another reference to Muteki Q. Well, actually, it's a reference to Wonderland, but it also appears in Muteki Q Believer, where she's like spinning the flag around, and the animation's actually really well detailed and very well animated. I thought it was easily the highlight of the performance.
I really liked her blowing the heart and it turning into stars.
Yeah.
It made me feel of Muteki Q Believer
and then
well.
it kind of ending on the curtains.
She stole that from Shizuku. I can't believe this. She's stealing Shizuku's thunder.
And she gets the And then at the end, Yu and Ayumu run at her and they hug her, and it's very cute. As an ending, I actually really appreciate it. Even though I wasn't as sold on the song, I actually really like this trio. I actually wouldn't mind seeing more of this trio together.
I can't believe Kasumi parkoured just to do a performance for you and Ayumu.
So we actually got the ED last episode, but I think I actually prefer it to the OP.
I really enjoyed it too.
Yeah, it's got a good sound to it. Also, the visuals are cool as well. We talked about this in the previous episode with the watercolour. But it's different, and yes, it is mostly still images, but the style of it, the sound of it, I actually really appreciate.
I do too. I think it complements the series really well. Like I was saying, it feels very slice of lifey as well, and it comes off in both the OP and the ED for me.
So I think for the most part, this episode served as a fine bridge for seemingly the next episode, which feels like it's going to go more in depth. And I am interested to see whether the Kasumi / Setsuna
problem,
whether that will get resolved or not.
I think that might be resolved even with you. I'm excited to see what comes next. It feels like everything's finally coming together, all the pieces.
I am definitely interested because I initially thought, we're going to go 9 episodes, each girl's going to get an episode, but it seems from the next episode that it's not going to be a character-focused episode. I mean, it could be Setsuna, but I don't know if that's going to be resolved this quickly.
I think it's gonna be let's spend time with all the characters together. I still think it is gonna be a bit of a Setsuna episode, because we've always had a bit of development with that character and then also outside of that character for so far.
It may come off as me having been negative at this episode. For the most part, I really appreciated what they did with Kasumi. I think Kasumi has adapted so well to the anime. From the reception that I've seen online is that Kasumi's actually picked up some fans. So even if I was sort of lukewarm on the song, I'm so happy that Kasumi's got more fans.
I still really enjoyed the episode because it still has that humour that I love. It still makes me excited. If I go away from it still feeling excited after and not feeling deflated, that means that the anime did what I was expecting it to do. It made me happy, and that's all that I need from this anime.
I got tons of Kasumi face reactions, so I'm happy. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to us ramble again.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.